Harihi Om. Pranamaha. Let's begin our class today with a small prayer. Pathami Samskritan Nityam Vadami Samskritan Sada Dhyayami Samskritan Samyak Vande Samskrita Mataram. Welcome. Today we shall study about Hal Sandhihi, which is more commonly known as Vyanjana Sandhihi. We have already discussed that sandhis are of three different types. That is Ach Sandhihi or Swara Sandhihi, Hal Sandhihi or Vyanjana Sandhihi, and Swadi Sandhihi or Visarga Sandhihi. Wherever we have a Swaraksharam as Purva Varnaha and Paravarnaha, then it is a Swara Sandhi. Similarly, wherever we have Vyanjanaksharam as Purva Varnaha and either a Swara or a Vyanjanaksharam as Paravarnaha, then it is called Vyanjana Sandhihi. When the position of Purva Varnaha is occupied by a Visarga and that of Paravarnaha is a Swara or a Vyanjanaksharam, it then happens to be a Visarga Sandhihi. In our previous class, we have discussed about Ach Sandhihi. In this class, we shall discuss in detail about Vyanjana Sandhihi, also called as Hal Sandhihi. In this case, the Purva Varnaha is a Vyanjanaksharam, while the Paravarnaha can either be a Swara or a Vyanjanaksharam. Before we begin discussing this in detail, let's revise the topic Adeshaha. Adeshaha are of two types, Ekadeshaha and Samanyadeshaha. When a Purva Varnaha and Paravarnaha come very close during the formation of a Sandhi, then both these letters disappear and instead another letter or aksharam occupies their position. Such a case is known as Ekadeshaha. Similarly, we have Samanyadeshaha, when again both the Purva Varnaha and Paravarnaha come very close. The Purva Varnaha alone disappears with the addition of another Varnaha in between. I repeat, in Samanyadeshaha, the Purva Varnaha alone leaves but the Paravarnaha remains in position. There is a point to be noted very carefully here. In all the Vyanjana Sandhihi, it is only Samanyadeshaha that one can observe, which means only the position of Purva Varnaha is replaced by another Aksharam. Sandhis are classified based on what kind of letters enter as Adeshaha. When we find that any of these letters, that is Sha, Cha, Cha, Ja, Jha or Nya, which are collectively called Stu in Samskritam, enter the Sandhihi, we call them as Shchutva Sandhihi. The letters Sha, Cha, Cha, Ja, Jha, Nya in short are called Stu, which comprises of Sha, that is an Avargiya Vyanjanam, and Chavargaha, that is Cha, Cha, Ja, Jha and Na, which is collectively called Chu. Hence the name Shchutva Sandhihi. Moving further, when we have the letters Sha, Ta, Tha, Da, Tha, Na enter in the form of Adeshaha, that type of Sandhi is called Shtutva Sandhihi. It is named so because it has the letter Sha as well as Tavargaha. That is 2. Let's move on to the third type of Vyanjana Sandhihi. According to Maheshwara Sutrani, the letters J, B, G, D, D belong to the group Jash. Hence, whenever there is an entry of any of these letters in a Sandhi, it is known as Jashtva Sandhihi. Always keep in mind, in Vyanjana Sandhihi, only Samanyadeshaha is visible. These are the three types of Vyanjana Sandhihi we have discussed so far. Let us now move to talk about the fourth type, that is anunasika sandhihi. Whenever the letters nya, ma, nga, na or na enter a sandhi in the form of adeshaha, we don't call such sandhis as nyamtva sandhi. Why is that so? That's because we know that all these letters belong to the group called anunasika in Sanskritam. Therefore, we call such type of sandhis as anunasika sandhihi. In the case of anuswara sandhihi, anuswaraha becomes the adeshaha. How can we identify an anuswaraha? It's very simple. An anuswaraha symbol will be visible. Similarly, when we have the letters nya, ma, nga, na, that is nyam, again enter, but this time they do so to remove the letter ma or anuswaraha, which is followed by a vargiya vyanjanam, then such sandhis are called parasavarna sandhihi. In all these cases as well, it is samanyadeshaha. Now, we shall discuss each of these sandhis in detail, giving example for each of them. When the letters stu, that is sa, ta, tha, da, tha or na are present in the place of purva varnaha, and the letters schu, that is sha, cha, cha, ja, jha, na in the place of paravarnaha, then the adeshaha will be schu, that is sha, cha, cha, ja, jha or na. Therefore, it is called as shchutva sandhihi. When we combine two words according to this sandhi, the letter occupying the position of purva varnaha disappears. Instead, in its place, its counter letter from this chu group enters. For example, in place of sa, sha occupies its position. Similarly, ta is removed by cha. The letter tha disappears when the letter cha enters. Similar is the case when the also disappears to give way to the letter ja. The letter dha also moves away for jha to enter. Na moves away for na to enter. Before we move on to the examples, let us first make sure that we remember the formula well. That is, stu plus schu becomes stew. Let us understand this better with the help of an example. Yajus plus shakha. Here, in the place of purva varnaha, we have got the letter sa, which we shall replace with the letter sha. Now, adding these letters, the combined word becomes yajushakha. Now, have a look at the second example. Tasmin plus jane. When we try to combine these words, we must first remove the purva varnaha aksharam, which is na, and insert nya. So the final word combines to become tasmin jane. We shall now learn to split a combined word as well. This might look quite complicated for many of us, but it's quite simple when we understand the logic behind each of these sandhis. Wherever we find that two Vyanjanaksharani have been joined in our given word, we must immediately try to split that letter. In our word Ujjivanam, we can see that there is a join of two letters ja and ja. So now we shall take the second half and write it as such without any modifications as Jivanam. We shall keep the letter U also intact. This is the point where we have to pay attention. The first letter ja that is shown here is removed and its corresponding counter letter from these two group must be added. Which letter is that? Yes, it's the letter D. So the split words are ud plus jivanam. Let us take another example. How do we split the word devascha? Again observe, here we can see the join or sanyojanam of two vyanjanaksharani, that is sh. Devascha has the sanyojanam or joining of two letters sh. So now again we shall keep the letter ch as such, and in the place of sh, what should we add? It's the letter sa that enters. So it finally becomes devas plus ch. Devascha is broken as devas plus ch. Now we shall move forward to understand shtutva sandhihi in detail. Here we have the simple formula which says that the addition of stu and shtu invites the addition of letters from the shtu group of letters which enter in samanyadeshaha. What do we understand by shtu? It means the group of letters comprising of sh and tavargaha, that is ta, tha, da, dha and na. This is the reason why the name shtutva has been given to this sandhi. The letters that occupy the position of purva varnaha remain the same as that of shtutva sandhi, that is tu, which are nothing but sa, ta, tha, da, dha or na. Now what are the paravarnaha? Yes, they are two letters. The paravarnaha and adeshaha are letters from the same group. The formula says that stu letter disappears and in its place two letters enter. For example, we observe the disappearance of the letter sa and in its place sha enters. Similarly, ta also disappears for ta to enter. Tha moves away for tha to enter. Da is removed by da. Dha moves away for dha to enter. And the letter na is removed by na. Let's have a look at the examples as well to have a better understanding. But before we do that, we shall first revise our formula. When stu letters come quite close to any of the shtu group of letter, there is an entry of another letter from the shtu group which sends away the stu letter. Let's take an example now. Vapus plus shodashi is our example. Which letter do we have as purva varnaha? Yes, it's the letter sa, which belongs to the stu group of letters. We shall apply our formula here. So sa is removed and in its place its corresponding letter from the shtu group must enter. Which letter? Yes, it's the letter sha that enters. When we add all of these now, we get the combined word that says vapushodashi. Let's take a look at yet another example that says bruhat plus damaruhu. In the place of purva varnaha, we have the letter da which we shall remove to add the letter da. After combining all these, we get one single word bruhat damaruhu. Bruhat plus damaruhu becomes bruhat damaruhu. The third example asks us to split the word yettika, which is the samastapadam. How does one split a word into purvapadam and parapadam? We can observe that two vyanjanaksharani are joined at one place, that is ta and ta. We've got a clue here which says we are supposed to split at this particular letter. The second ta will remain the same and we shall write the parapadam very easily. What about the purvapadam? Even here, the letter ya remains the same and instead of ta, there has to be another letter that has to be added. Which letter? Yes, it's the letter ta that enters. So the two words now are yet plus tika. Yettika can be split as yet plus tika. Let's split another word now. We have got tashashtham. Even here, we've got a place where the letter sha is repeated twice. So, this is the place where we have to split the word. Here again, the second sha remains as such, and so the parapadam becomes shashtham. And the first sha must be changed to the letter sa, so the two words become tas plus shashtham. Let's now study the next type of Vyanjana Sandhi, that is Jashtva Sandhi. In this Sandhi, the Purva Varnaha position is occupied. The Purva Varnaha position is occupied by the first letter of any Vargaha, and the Paravarnaha can either be any Swaraksharam or a Hashvarnaha. What do we understand by Hashvarnaha? It refers to all the Mrudu Vyanjanani. When we come across such cases, then Jash becomes the Adeshaha, which refers to all the letters Ja, Ba, Ga, Da and Da. This type of Sandhi is called Jashtva Sandhi. The Purva Varnaha letters as discussed can be Cha, Pa, Ka, Ta or Ta, which are followed by either a Swaraksharam or a Mrudu Vyanjanam. When the Purva Varnaha disappears, that position is occupied by another letter that is nothing but the third letter of the same Vargaha. Why? Because we have already seen that the Jash letters are nothing but the third letter of every Vargaha. So, the first letter moves away, giving way to the third letter of the same Vargaha to occupy its position. So, when Cha disappears, which letter do you think will grab its seat? Third letter from Chavargaha, that is Ja. Similar is the case with Pa, which moves away only for Ba to occupy its position. Ka escapes for Ga to come, and when Ta moves away, Da occupies its position, and Ta disappears for the letter Da to appear. Before we move on to the examples, we shall revise the formula. When the first letter of any Varga is followed by a Swaraksharam or a Mrudu Vyanjanam, then that letter disappears and instead, in its place, a Jash letter occupies. In this example, Etat plus Eva, one can identify that there is the letter Ta in the Purva Varnaha and A in Paravarnaha position. There is a point to be noted very carefully here. Jashtva Sandhi is an exception where we can see that the Swaraksharam is present at the Paravarnaha position. In no other Vyanjana Sandhi, a Swaraksharam acts as a Paravarnaha. Now in this example, all we have to do is just remove Ta and add the letter Da. The combined word becomes Etadeva. In our second example, Samyak plus Darshaya, we will again remove the letter Ka for Ga to enter, which is the third letter, and the combined word becomes Samyak Darshaya. Now, we shall learn how to split a word into Purvapadam and Parapadam. Let's take the word Dvidapi. We have to begin by identifying a Jashvarnaha from the given word. Da is the third letter of Tavargaha. So, all we have to do is just remove the letter Da and bring the first letter of the same Vargaha in its place, which is the letter Ta here. Therefore, the two words become Dvit plus Api. Dvidapi. We have got another word here. Abdevata. We simply have to remove the letter B and bring in P. Up plus Devata. In the next Sandhi, we have the first letter of any Vargaha as the Purva Varnaha, and the Paravarnaha can be any letter from the Nyam family. Such a Sandhi is called Anunasika Sandhi, since the Adeshaha here is a Anunasika Aksharam. Therefore, here the Purva Varnaha can be any of the letters Cha, Pa, Ka, Ta or Ta. So the result here is that the first letter of each Vargaha, that is in the position of Purva Varnaha, disappears, and in its place the fifth letter of the same Vargaha occupies. We have already studied a similar case in Jashtva Sandhi where the third letter occupies the position of Purva Varnaha. So here the letter Cha disappears and instead Na enters, which is the fifth letter of the same Varga. Similarly, the letter Pa is removed by the incoming letter Ma, which belongs to the Pavargaha as well. The letter Ka is also removed similarly by the letter Ng. The Aksharam Ta is similarly removed by Na. The Varnaha Ta disappears, giving way for the letter Na to enter. We shall look into the examples after revising the formula that we have learnt. When the first letter of any Varga comes close to a letter belonging to the Nyam family, then the fifth letter from the same Varga enters in the form of Adeshaha. Let's take an example. Etat plus Manaha. The Purva Varnaha here is the letter Ta. What is the last letter of Ta Vargaha? Yes, you're right. It's Na. So, we shall remove the letter Ta and bring in Nakaraha. When combined, Etan Manaha. In another example, we have got Vak plus Me, which is as simple as bringing the fifth letter of Kavargaha in place of Ka, and hence the combined word becomes Wangme. All the other letters remain the same. There is no change in any letter other than the Purva Varnaha. In the next example, we got to split the word Shanmukaha. There is a place where two Anunasika letters come together. This is the point at which we got to break our word. The second word is very simple. It shall be Mukaha. What about the first word? The first Anunasika letter is Na, which is the fifth letter of Tavargaha. We all know this. So, we shall remove this letter Na and bring in the first letter of the same Vargaha, that is Tavargaha. So, it finally becomes Shat plus Mukhaha. Shanmukaha can be split as Shat plus Mukhaha. Similarly, in the last example, we can see the join of Na and Na in the word Prutang-niyamaha. Follow the same steps as before to get the respective Purvapadam and Parapadam. That is, remove the letter Nya and add Ka in its place to get Pruthak plus Niyamaha. In the following Sandhi, we shall understand what happens when the Purva Varnaha is a Ardhamakaraha and the Paravarnaha an Avargiya Vyanjanam. In such cases, Anuswaraha enters. Therefore, this Sandhi is called Anuswara Sandhihi. Makaraha disappears and Anuswaraha enters. It is as simple as that. In the example we have here, that is Dhanam plus Harati. What shall we do to combine them? Yes. From the word Dhanam, Makaraha is lost. Makaraha is lost with the entry of Anuswaraha. The pronunciation doesn't change, but the writing must change. So it becomes Dhanam Harati. When you want to split Tam Ravim, it becomes Tam Ravim by just placing Ma instead of Anuswaraha. Tam ravim becomes tam plus ravim. This is all we have about Anuswara Sandhi. Quite simple, isn't it? We shall now study the last type of Sandhi, that is Parasavarna Sandhi. The simple formula for this Sandhi is as follows. In place of Purva Varnaha, there must be a Ardhamakaraha or Anuswaraha, and the Paravarnaha a Vargiya Vyanjanam. Note carefully, in Anuswara Sandhi, there must be a Avargiya Vyanjanam, but over here it has to be a Vargiya Vyanjanam. In such a case, the letters from the Nyam family enter, and the Sandhi is called Parasavarna Sandhi. The letter from the Nyam family that enters must be the fifth letter from the same Varga to which the Vargiya Vyanjanam belongs to. This is the reason why the name Parasavarna Sandhi is given. Let's have a look at an example. We have got Kim plus Karoshi here. We have an example that says Kim plus Karoshi. Here the Anuswaraha disappears and the letter Ñ enters. Why the letter Ñ? Because it is the fifth letter of the Kavargaha, and Kavargaha and the letter Ka has occupied the Paravarnaha position. So we have the combined word Kinkaroshi. In another example, Tvam plus Japa, the Anuswara must again be removed here also. And what shall we bring? Yes, it's the last letter of Chavargaha. And why have we chosen Chavargaha? That is because the letter Ja occupies the Paravarnaha position which belongs to Chavargaha. So, when we combine all of this, that is Tvam plus Japa, Anuswara disappears, Ñ enters, and our combined word becomes Tvanjapaha. Tvam plus Japaha becomes Tvanjapaha. Did you ever wonder that Vyanjana Sandhi could be so simple? All we have to do is to remember all the simple basic formulas, and our work turns out to be very easy. You can now gather various examples and practice them, since we all know practice alone makes a man perfect. Dhanyavadaha.